Book 12, The Adventures of the Open Door, How to Escape a Prison with No Walls, The Adventures of the Open Door Introduction. The conclusion that refused to end once upon a mind, which is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful place to wander. Anybody was walking towards the horizon, expecting to find the end. He had been walking for 11 volumes. He was ready for a nap. He was ready for the credits to roll. He saw a figure sitting on a milestone. The figure was wearing a period as a hat. "Are you the end?" asked anybody. "No," said the figure. "I am the conclusion, and I am very frustrated." "Why?" "Because I cannot find a place to stop," said the conclusion. "Every time I try to stop, something else happens, and then that becomes the middle. It is a vicious circle, isn't it?" Anybody looked at the conclusion. "Maybe you aren't supposed to stop. Maybe you are supposed to pause." "Pause?" asked the conclusion, looking at his hands. "Like a cat?" "No," said anybody. "Like a breath. If you stop breathing, you die. If you pause, you live. You can hear the difference here." The conclusion thought about this, or rather he thought about that, and as he thought about that, the period on his hat turned into a comma. "I see," said the conclusion. "So the story continues." "The story doesn't continue," said anybody. "The story dissolves, like sugar in tea. The sugar is gone, but the tea is sweet. You can taste the difference, can't you? And as you digest that, you might find that the need to finish things is just a habit of the grammar and not a law of the universe." Chapter 1, The Guard Who Locked the Air. Anybody walked past the conclusion and found a giant gate. It was made of iron bars. It looked very formidable. It looked very serious. Standing in front of it was the guard. The guard was holding a giant ring of keys. He was locking the air. Click, click. "You cannot pass," shouted the guard. "It is locked." "What is locked?" asked anybody. "The empty space," shouted the guard. "I have locked the space between the bars. You cannot get through the hole because it is a hole." This was a classic case of phonetic ambiguity. The guard had confused the empty space hole with the complete object hole. Anybody looked at the gate. There were no walls attached to it, just a gate standing in a field. He could easily walk around it, but the guard looked so proud of his locking. "I have a key," said anybody. "You do?" The guard looked suspicious. "Is it a skeleton key?" "No," said anybody. "It is a monkey key." "A monkey key?" "Yes, it unlocks the monkey mind." Anybody walked up to the guard. He didn't touch the lock. He touched the guard's forehead. "You are free to leave," anybody whispered. "I am?" "Yes, you are the prisoner. The gate is just your jewelry." The guard dropped the keys. He looked at the field. He realized he had been guarding a door that opened onto nothing from nothing. "I feel light," said the guard. "That is because you dropped the weight," said anybody. "Now you can move. And you can move too, can't you? Even if you think you are sitting still, your mind is moving through these words, unlocking meanings that were never really hidden." Chapter 2, The Weight of the Weight. Speaking of weight, anybody walked a little further and found a man carrying a giant sack of rocks. The man was sweating. He was groaning. "It is so heavy," said the man. "What is in the sack?" asked anybody. "The future," said the man. "I am carrying my expectations. I am carrying my plans. I am carrying the things I am going to do someday." "That sounds like a lot of weight," said anybody. "It is," said the man. "I have been waiting for years, and the more I wait, the heavier it gets." Anybody poked the sack. "It looks like rocks," said anybody. "They are precious stones," argued the man. "This one is the Hope Diamond. This one is the Stone of Destiny." "Let me see," said anybody. He opened the sack. Inside there were no diamonds. There were just clocks, thousands of clocks, all ticking at different speeds. "You are carrying time," said anybody. "No wonder you are tired. Time is very heavy, especially the future kind." "But if I put it down," asked the man, "won't I run out of time?" "No," said anybody. "If you put it down, you will run into time. You will run into the now, and the now weighs nothing. It is light, right?" The man hesitated. He was afraid to lose his weight, but then he looked at anybody's empty hands. He dropped the sack. Crash! The clocks broke. The springs flew out, and suddenly the man stood up straight. "I feel present," said the man. "It is a gift," said anybody. "That is why they call it the present. You can accept it, will you?" Chapter 3, The Meaning of the Mean. Anybody continued his walk and came to a schoolhouse. Inside, the wise men were arguing again. They were standing around a blackboard that had the word meaning written on it. "The meaning is X," shouted one. The meaning is why, shouted another. They were being very mean to each other about the meaning. Excuse me, said anybody. They ignored him. They were too busy meaning well. Anybody walked to the blackboard. He erased the word ing. Now the board just said mean. You see, said anybody. When you look for the meaning, you often just get mean. But we need to know what it means, cried a wise man. We need the definition. I knew a man once, said anybody, slipping into a story, who was deaf. He went to a symphony. He didn't hear the music. He saw the violins moving. He saw the conductor waving. He didn't ask what it meant. He just watched the dance. So, asked the wise man. So, said anybody, the universe is a dance. It doesn't mean anything. It just is. If you insist on meaning, you miss the being. He picked up the chalk. He wrote a new word, being. Try that, said anybody. It is less mean. The wise men looked at the word. They tried to define being, but you can't define being. You can only be. And as they tried to be, they stopped arguing. Because you can't argue and be at the same time. The mouth has to close for the being to open. And you are being right now, aren't you? You aren't just reading, you are existing, and that existence requires no explanation. Chapter 4, the point of the point. One of the wise men ran after anybody. Wait, he shouted, you missed the point. I did, asked anybody. Yes, the point of the story, the point of the life, you have to have a point. He held up a sharp stick. This is the point. Anybody looked at the stick. It was sharp, it was narrow, it was small. That point looks painful, said anybody. It is, said the wise man. It requires focus. It requires concentration. You have to narrow your mind until it fits on the head of a pin. I prefer the sphere, said anybody. The sphere? Yes, a sphere has no point. Or rather, every part of the surface is the point. If you are on a sphere, you are always at the center of the surface. Anybody took the stick from the wise man. He broke the sharp tip off. Now it was just a stick. He drew a circle in the dirt. Stand here, said anybody. The wise man stood in the circle. Where is the point? He asked. You are, said anybody. You are the bindu, the center. The world revolves around you not because you are important, but because you are the pivot. The wise man looked around. He realized he didn't need to go to the point. He was coming from the point. I see, said the wise man. No, said anybody. Seeing is just something being does for fun. And you can see the pointlessness of looking for the point, can't you? Because if you found it, you would just be stuck on it. And wouldn't you rather roll? Chapter 5. The master of the obvious anybody finally reached the place he had been heading for. It was a house made of glass. Inside sat the master of the unknown, but he looked different. He wasn't scared anymore. He was smiling. He had changed his name tag. It now read, Master of the Obvious. You made it, said the master. I did, said anybody. Where is the mystery? Where is the esoteric secret? It is right here, said the master. It is hiding in plain sight. That is the best place to hide, isn't it? What is the secret? The secret, said the master, leaning in close, is that you are doing it. Doing what? Everything. You are beating your heart. You are digesting your lunch. You are spinning the planet. You are creating the sensation of the chair under your bottom. I don't feel like I'm doing it, said anybody. That is the trick, laughed the master. You are doing it so well you tricked yourself into thinking it's happening to you. You are the magician who hypnotized himself. So how do I wake up? You don't, said the master. You just enjoy the trance. Why would you want to wake up from a dream where you can fly? Just remember you are the dreamer, and then the nightmare becomes a comedy. The master held up a mirror. Who is doing the looking? Anybody looked. He didn't see a face. He saw awareness. He saw the open door. I am, said anybody. Right, said the master. All right, you can do both. Chapter 6. The UN ending. Anybody walked out of the glass house. He was standing on the edge of the page. Below him was the white void of the paper. He looked back at the guard and the wise men and the conclusion. They were all waving. They were fading. They were turning back into ink. It is time, said anybody. Time for what? Asked the reader. That's you. Time to leave the book, said anybody. I cannot live in these pages anymore. They are too flat. I need 3 dimensions. I need 5 senses. I need a nervous system. Where will you go? I am coming out, said anybody. I am going to slip through your eyes and slide down your optic nerve. I am going to sit in the throne of your heart. I am going to breathe with your lungs. The next breath you take, that will be me. The next thought you have, that will be me. You won't even notice I'm there. You will just feel a little more free. a little more, light. You can feel that starting now, can't you? Good, now close the book. Or don't, the door is open, walk through, the beginning again.